Hi Dover in Year 4. We're going to continue having a look at Alice's Adventures in Wonderland by Lewis Carroll. Before I start reading today, can you write down any tricky words from the last reading section? You might have already looked up some words that you weren't sure about, or some words might just have stuck in your head that were new to you. If so, could you write those words down into your books just now? You can pause the video while you do that. Now you've got a list of any tricky words that we have come up against so far in the book. Now I'm going to continue reading the rest of the chapter. So yesterday we finished off at the section where Alice looked at the bottle, and because it did not say poison on it, she found that it was all right to drink. So she made that decision, she drank it, and she realised it actually tasted very yummy. So let's find out what happens next. While I'm reading, can you continue to think about any words that you think are tricky, any words that you're not sure about, and write them down into your book? What a curious feeling, said Alice. I must be shutting up like a telescope. And so it was indeed. She was now only 10 inches high, and her face brightened up at the thought that she was now the right size for going through the little door into that lovely garden. First, however, she waited for a few minutes to see if she was going to shrink any further. She felt a little nervous about this, for it might end, you know, said Alice to herself, in my going out altogether like a candle. I wonder what I should be like then. And she tried to fancy what the flame of a candle is like after the candle is blown out, for she could not remember ever having seen such a thing. After a while, finding that nothing more happened, she decided on going into the garden at once. But, alas for poor Alice! When she got to the door, she found she had forgotten the little golden key. And when she went back to the table for it, she found she could not possibly reach it. She could see it quite plainly through the glass, and she tried her best to climb up one of the legs of the table, but it was too slippery. And when she had tired herself out with trying, the poor little thing sat down and cried. Come, there's no use in crying like that, said Alice to herself rather sharply. I advise you to leave off this minute. She generally gave herself very good advice, though she very seldom followed it. And sometimes she scolded herself so severely as to bring tears into her eyes. And once she remembered trying to box her own ears for having cheated herself in a game of croquet she was playing against herself, for our curious child was very fond of pretending to be two people. But it's no use now, thought poor Alice, to pretend to be two people. Why, there's hardly enough of me left to make one respectable person. Soon her eye fell on a little glass box that was lying under the table. She opened it and found in it a very small cake, on which the words, Eat me, were beautifully marked in currants. Well, I'll eat it, said Alice, and if it makes me grow larger, I can reach the key, and if it makes me go smaller, I can creep under the door, so either way, I'll get into the garden and I don't care what happens. She ate a little bit and said anxiously to herself, Which way, which way? Holding her hand on the top of her head to feel which way it was growing. And she was quite surprised to find that she remained the same size. To be sure, this generally happens when one eats cake, but Alice had got so much into the way of expecting nothing but out-of-the-way things to happen, that it seemed quite dull and stupid for life to go on in the common way. So she set to work, and very soon finished off the cake. So we've now finished reading chapter 1. And in your books, you should have a list of words that you need clarification on, words that you think are quite tricky. So I have made my own list of words that I think maybe you might have written down. Have a look through and see if you got any of the same words as me. Seldom, scolded, severely, croquet, curious, fond, respectable, anxiously, shrink, ventured, telescope, unpleasant, poker, passage, alas, delight, grand, and curtsy. Now that you've got your own list, I would like you to use a dictionary and have a go at writing the definitions for the words on your list. You might have a physical dictionary lying around the house, or you might use an online dictionary, which is why I've written at the top here, Kids Britannica. That is a good online dictionary that you could use for this activity. You can pause this video here while you have a look for your words. Now that you should have added definitions to your words, as I have done, have a check to see if you had any of these words, did you get the same meanings? Some of you might have a smaller list and some of you might have a bigger list, but that is absolutely fine. This is to help you learn new words. Now we're going to look at these words even more deeply. We're going to think about synonyms and antonyms. Synonyms and antonyms. I'll write those two words down at the bottom here. Synonym is a word that has the same meaning, but it's a different word. An antonym is the opposite meaning. So for example, if I had the word hot, a synonym could be warm, because hot and warm mean a very similar thing. An antonym of the word hot could be cold, because that is the opposite of hot. If the word I was using was foggy, a synonym could be misty, because they are both weathers that are hard to see through, very cloudy. An antonym might be clear, because if it's foggy, the weather's quite dense, it's hard to see it at a distance, but if it's clear, you can see as far as the eye can see. Now it's your turn. Have a look down your list of words that you have definitions for. See if you can find a synonym for that word and an antonym for that word. Some words are going to be trickier than others, but give it a go.